My drive to get me to the top.
Frank Lee made the beat.
What it do, KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of the Daily K Podcast. Another Wellness Wednesday, and so we've been talking about narcissism. We're talking about relationships. We have some parents coming up. So, welcome to the show. And for today's conversation, I have educator, consultant, reality star. Did I say that, brother? Is that it?
Yeah, man.
Mr. Bryan Carroll, aka Super Carroll, in the building. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Happy to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Look, man, I appreciate you for taking some time out the busy schedule. Like we was talking before the show, man. Things have really been popping and jumping out for you, man. So congratulations on that. But I know how demanding that can be, man. So thank you for showing up today.
Absolutely.
Man, so as we jump into things, before we do the work, I like to get that wellness check-in, man. So how have you been doing during this pandemic and still continuing to stay safe out here, brother?
Man, it's definitely been a journey. I've been learning a lot about myself as I'm going in therapy and in school becoming a therapist. I'm learning about it's okay not to be okay sometimes, how to process, how to just be honest about everything, and how to have a positive outlook. Yeah. I've lost some people, family members. Like my brother was murdered a couple months ago. I lost friends. I mean, just experiencing different things in life. So ultimately I am blessed. Yeah. I'm alive. My kids are healthy. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a good relationship. So I'm growing. So I'm ultimately I am thankful, and I'm learning how to process and roll with the punches even better through life because I'm blessed.
Man, and my condolences go out to you and your family, brother. Man, it's just so crazy out here, man. And so that just shows you, man, it's one step.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So big condolences out to you and the family, man. Man, so jumping into things, our latest episode, we talked about narcissism, and I really tried to define it, right? So just thinking about the recap, and just defining that word narcissism. I know you said you was kind of looking up some stuff and kind of anxious to get on to talk about that, man. So in your words, as we go forward, man, what do you believe narcissism to be, brother?
I wrote down some stuff. Basically, just a easy definition could be an inflated sense of their own importance and a deep need for admiration. Yeah. So if I pull a little bit of layers off and tell you, narcissism is an extreme self-involvement to the degree that it makes a person ignore the needs of those around them, while everyone may show occasions of narcissistic behaviors. Yep. Just because somebody gets selfish in a point or arrogant, but I don't mean they're narcissists. Yeah. But to the point where a true narcissist frequently disregards others or their feelings. They also do not understand the effect that their behaviors have on other people. So they'll gaslight you a lot when you try to expose them or talk with them and give them the truth. And it's just somebody that's really tough to, get along with and be around.
Yeah, man. I learned so much about it. And just for as they were saying, so you got the disorder, the narcissistic personality disorder, but then you got the traits. And so we all have a few of them traits, you know, but and so the biggest thing was I had related it to education. And so they said where if you get perfect attendance each year got the same qualifications, but because of those narcissistic traits, you say, well, it was harder the year I got perfect attendance. We had more storms or something. So I had to get, it was harder for me to get to work. So that's why I exist better. So, we always talked about that. But man, I will tell you, it was so many facets to just being a narcissist and how things are handled. So it's interesting to talk today about this cycle that they have. And so, man, just diving deeper after the general definition, right? Now we talk about these narcissistic patterns that could be identified early in the relationship. Yeah. And so as I popped out, as I was preparing for the show, it was one cycle, and it said that the narcissist is glorifying, is belittling, and then it's abandoning. And so as we go, what we're going to do is break down this cycle a little bit more. But man, when you hear the word glorifying in the relationship, then belittling and abandoning, what does that cycle kind of say to you?
Well, in a relationship, you got to be able to take accountability.
Yeah.
And there's got to be some growth. But if you're glorifying yourself and you're glorifying your behaviors, you're not in a position or in the spirit to even understand, heal, or grow in any aspect. So basically, can't nobody tell you nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, so we could just say, as educators, who want to deal as a principal, who want to deal with a teacher? Can't nobody tell them nothing.
Yeah.
Who want to, as a coach, who want to deal with a player that can't nobody tell them nothing? And as a parent, how does it make you feel when you got to deal with a child? Can't nobody tell them nothing. You know, so you don't feel a safe place to communicate. And you don't feel heard. When you don't feel heard, you get upset, you get frustrated, you bottle things up, and you explode, or you go talk to other people.
Look, I will tell you that now I'm gonna throw you for the loop. In this instance, the glorifying is kind of like the honeymoon stage in their relationship. So then when you think, as I learned about like the way narcissism get in, right? You think about the beginning of the relationship, there's trips. You think about all the bliss and that whirlwind of emotion that happens in the beginning. So at this time, you don't know that person is on that narcissistic spectrum, right? So you just keep on going. So then, if you've ever been through that, or maybe we're gonna just say we might be that. Like, how do you go through that piece of the relationship? And man, what signs?
Well, you gotta have your core values in line.
Yeah,
you can't get tainted by the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah,
and I say that because, say me as a man, you see a woman, she's extremely attractive. She's in shape. She checking off all of the boxes. I mean, she's beautiful. All these different things going. She got a good job. She's career oriented. But is that a cover up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you have a set of core values, that'll protect you from a lot of different things that could be red flags, as opposed to you going on a trip. So you're not paying attention to the fact that she really don't communicate well because y'all having fun on the trip, or you're not paying attention to the fact that she don't listen to you, y'all don't communicate well, or different things because y'all just spending y'all time appeasing to your fleshly desires and the things that are momentary fun, but y'all not having those real conversations, about relationship, about core values, about what are your viewpoints on relationships and marriage? What are your viewpoints on spirituality, religion, raising a child, watch what they do on a daily basis, stuff like that.
Man, and from being just on the show, and then moving forward with life past that, were there because it was all about relationships, so I'm pretty sure they set y'all up for like relationships, like therapy, all these pieces. So what did you learn as far as about the relationships? And
man, they told us. They made us think. I was like, so they're gonna have like therapists on a resort and all that stuff.
Yeah,
man, they ain't have none of that. They ain't had that stuff. Man, it was. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a great time out there with the show. It became emotionally draining at one point, but it was. It wasn't as authentic as it needed to be because it was more so about. It's like it's TV.
Yeah.
So it's entertaining, it's fun, but it's TV, y'all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I do think that you do learn because, you can look on the introspective part of what people are saying about you, what your experiences are, and how to deal with multiple people. Because usually you go out, you might meet 1 or 2 people, but now you got 10 people and you talking to 10 people and you get to know 10, you're trying to juggle that. And you're like seeing all these different personalities and you're seeing how you respond to stuff. Then they put you in some serious situations where you gotta, fight your way out or convince somebody to get, you gotta.
Wow. And see, and the thing is, you would think after that, just that simple focus on, the relationship, that you come out of that thing with some tools, some techniques. But look, I can dig it though. It all can look good.
But I'll say this. We have to get past the surface level stuff. I'll see stuff on social media all the time. It'll be a guy who's seen as an attractive guy or a woman that's seen as an attractive woman. educated with a good job, and why is this person single? Or they'll say this stuff, they can't find a good man, but they haven't mentioned one thing that really drives a relationship: the emotional intelligence. Love is a skill. You have to acquire the skill and the ability to love. We have a desire to care for people, but love is a decision. In relationships that work are because you make a decision and you're able to you're mature enough to work towards that. And those are things that you learn about yourself. You learn about yourself, how patient you aren't, how open, emotionally intelligent you might not be, how you're not willing to be emotionally available. You learn those things through those relationships. If you want to be introspective about yourself, and you find that out about people's triggers, their traumas from their past, the dysfunctional ways. Because like what may be okay for me in a relationship might not be okay for her.
Come on, man.
So we need to be having conversations instead of just trips and going out and turning up and humping each other. So now we can actually learn each other.
Yeah.
And see what's going on and see where the value systems really are.
Man, and that would help a lot. So now moving on to the next stage of this. So we said the glorifying, that's kind of the bliss, the high of the relationship. Next stage comes the belittling. So this is the narcissistic cycle. He says, so during the belittling stage, the person starts to do it in small, subtle ways. So small comments about your hair, comments about your clothes, how often you go to the gym, little comments that sting, but you remember the glorifying stage. So you don't pay no attention to these that's going on, right? And so then as they go, you begin to believe them things to be true about yourself because you hear them so much. So when this happens, how do you feel? If you've ever been through that you combat the belittling, and then how do you talk to somebody about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's a fine line. We have to find that medium between accountability and belittling. You know what I'm saying? Because also, if somebody cares about somebody, if you tell me that you want to work out, then I want to hold you accountable and support you in that. But I also have to understand this. If I love you, I need to figure out a way to communicate with you in a positive manner that's uplifting you and encouraging you. It doesn't feel good. It wouldn't feel good if somebody you loved and cared about and that you value as a person is speaking down on you. Yeah. And I want us to get to a point where we got enough self-esteem, because you're talking about beginning stages and stuff like that. Well, we got enough self-esteem to walk away from things that don't serve us. Not from a selfish standpoint, like, oh, this person ain't doing what I want. They don't make me feel good. Because any person that's seasoned and that's married in a healthy marriage, will tell you, marriage ain't always about how you feel good. You ain't always going to be happy, but you're in covenant and you made a commitment. And it's hard, but it's tough, but it's going to be one of the most best experiences that you've ever experienced. But, you have to understand. I think you have to come to a point about what are your red flags and what are your green flags? You know what I'm saying? And what are like your gray flags, the yellow flags. It's a yield, but it ain't no complete like, oh, hell no. But it's like a kind of like, all right, I could, what's going on, and have positive communication with that person. Let them know how you feel.
So now this is the question. So you just said we got to talk about this because we just had these little comments. Yeah. So now we know that narcissists are really good at reading people, telling them what they want to hear, finding that void and feeling it. Right.
Yeah.
So eventually those comments, if you don't address them, start to get bigger and bigger. Yeah. So now we talking about the work. We talking about the family.
Yeah.
You just talked about kind of talking to each other, but at this point, is it time to go?
I mean, shoot, you got to count the cost. Like you got to count the cost. Like at the end of the day, if this person makes you feel unsafe, unheard, you don't feel valued, and ultimately you don't feel loved, then maybe that's not the relationship for you. And I mean, it's no cookie cutter way. Yeah. I can't tell somebody exactly what to do with their relationship. What I can do is tell them that their own mental health and their own development is very important, because if you can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're empty and you're being drained and the love and the life is sucked out of you, and you just feel like you're being belittled all the time, and y'all have tried we talking about somebody that's married in a relationship or somebody just kind of just met?
Yeah, we just met. We going through the stage. We now at the stage. So
Oh
we
man, it's
done
like
met a
I'm
little
like,
bit. Yeah.
no, hey look, if you don't think I'm cute, then if you think I'm this or that, you got so much to say about me, then
Yeah.
move
Like you will.
around.
Yeah, man. Fantastic.
Yeah. Peace.
So man, now after the show, did you get that title a little bit? Did somebody say anything crazy about you on there?
Nah, man, thank goodness, because I'd be like, but they did. Somebody did call somebody a narcissist, and it's like you hadn't even known that person for 24 hours. So,
Yeah.
and even if you did feel like that, why you trying to go on TV and say that? Like, one thing that production had an issue with me about it, I think that there's, and I probably shouldn't have went on TV if I felt like this. I think there's on camera and there's off camera conversations. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things as far as a relationship or my feelings that might make somebody feel bad, or it's just something I ain't trying to discuss on TV.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was something they should have discussed on TV. But that word got thrown around a little bit about some of the guys. And yeah, I was like, man.
Yeah, man. Come on, dude.
I was like, dang, because the first time it's like, yo, you ain't even known him for 24 hours.
Yeah.
You know, so
now this is the kicker. Like you say, it's time to go. Get her out of here. What do narcissists do? When you get ready to finally say, I'm out this thing,
they're gonna start gaslighting. They're gonna start gaslighting. They're gonna make you feel like you making it up. Yeah. It's like, so you telling me that, like, I know this happened. I was there. They're gonna make you start questioning what actually happened. You know, so
man. So then when you so like, let's say you know somebody like this here.
Yeah.
And all they see is that glorifying stage. So when they get ready to go, that brother kind of banded them. Then you get the feeling there, woo woo, and then he come over, hit you with the yeah, and then everything back to normal. Man, what do you say to people who in that boat, man? How do they get out of there, B?
Man, that's them soul ties, man. You have to protect your energy. You got to protect your heart and your mind. So you have to create boundaries. And that's what when I looked up different things and I was learning more about it, they talked about creating boundaries. Yeah. You have to create boundaries. If you got to block that person, if you know that, how many times somebody said they've been going through some situation in a relationship, hey, let's just sit down and talk. And then you wake up the next morning laying next to them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you ain't do no talking. You know what I'm saying? So if that's my method, I know to do that, just slide back in every time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you got to create boundaries. You got to block this person. You don't need to answer their calls. You're not you're not obligated to respond to their messages. At the end of the day, you can put your hands to the plow, but you can't look back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got to move forward, create boundaries, and you got to stay resolved in it. Don't follow them. Don't be going to go check their page. Don't go look at no old pictures, you know, or videos, whatever the case may be. You have to be responsible about how you guard your eyes, which lead to your brain and your heart, so you don't get back into that entanglement.
Man, so now this is the question. I know you've been doing a lot with the people post the show. Some of the people, I remember the lady who teaches track. I think I seen y'all doing the event. Did anybody find love?
Shoot, Simone and Rashid are dating for real right now.
Okay. And now was that the DJ?
Nah, Rashid was the dude that was the car salesman.
Okay.
And then Simone was the lawyer. Yeah. Was the lawyer. So so you talking about just people from the show finding love, or just in general?
Just in general. Do you know what's the recap?
Well, shoot, I know I got me a little yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm blessed, man. It's good to be in a healthy, thriving relationship. So I'm thankful for that. But as far as the people from the show that got together, I know Rashid and Simone are together from the show, and they doing pretty well. You know what I'm saying?
Would you do it again?
But you really get to see all the fluff, like you know, some weird people, man, that you see on them blogs or in the DM and stuff. I'm like, it's different somebody just talking to you, but people they really be looking at TV like that's you know what I'm saying? You know,
so one way that we talked about going through these stages, and so the reason I wanted to do this show tonight was to give people these stages, because actually, brother, these are some really real stages, right? You think
Yeah.
about that glorifying and that bliss, and then once that narcissist begin that work, like brother to set the stage hard, and then it's hard to get out of that. So I think one way that I learned was to journal through each of these stages, right? Just reflecting on what's going on throughout this process. That way, when it's time to go, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And so then how much do you feel that self-efficacy as well as self-empowerment plays into being able to take that journal, look at what you're writing down, and then acting upon it? And even if that means getting the hell out of there.
It plays a huge role. And like we look at different situations and circumstances, I'm always look at poverty. We know the numbers. Yeah. We know that redlining, what happened in the 50s and the 60s. And we know that people were thrown into different communities. We know that drugs and guns were planted in there. But I'm still saying the change I want to see must first begin in me. Do I recognize barriers in a situation or in a relationship? Yes. But I don't want to give that much power to somebody else over me. So the change I want to see must first begin in me. So I recognize this person is an abuser mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever the case may be, right? So what I'm going to do is I want to get the tools and acquire the tools, whether it's journaling, to write stuff down, setting up boundaries. You got to block the person. Don't be in that space. Don't communicate with them. You got to do whatever you got to do because it's self-preservation. Right. You got to preserve yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you got to love yourself enough to not go down that road if that's not positive, if that's not productive, and then that's not getting you to the point that you want to get. Otherwise, because if I keep blaming them, which they are true for their victimization, now I've given them too much power over me because now I'm not putting no responsibility on myself to walk away. Yeah. Or to even start in that direction. And one thing, we got to create a safe place for people to be able to say, you know what? Man, I'm struggling, bro. I can't leave this girl alone. You know what I'm saying? I know she ain't right for me, but I need to leave her alone. We got to get better with it.
Man, you know that ain't gonna, man, you know better. Man, it's hard to get up out of there, man. What you think? Golly, man. But when it ain't right, though, and I tell you, man, sometimes I talk to people and those be their best relationships, right? And I'll never figure it out. Yeah. But like that pain, so I don't know, man.
I know. You got to think about that. You think about the dysfunction from a mental health standpoint. Yeah. When people have been raised in dysfunctional environments where dysfunction has been normalized, when something is going too well, they'll self-sabotage. Yeah. Because subconsciously, that's what they're used to. So they don't know how to communicate other than in a negative manner. Yeah. So when you try to be too nice or respectful with them, they think you got ulterior motives, or they'll self-sabotage, or they'll question everything. So it's a part of those traumatic experiences, and from growing up, and that's why we got to heal.
So, man, I know you talked about that therapy, man. What made you? So we talked a lot about Black men and just wanting to go through these things. Once you do recognize, well, I've created that cycle for someone, or I've been through that cycle. How do we get our brothers, our Black men, to really get into that therapy, man, to break that cycle, to show our offseeds something different?
We got to set a different standard, and we got to stop emotionally. When a man is being emotional and they're expressing themselves, we got to stop. What is it called? What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, almost downplaying it.
It's like you downplay it, or you use it against them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, and we always associate masculinity with being strong and femininity with being weak, and that's false. Yeah. So, being strong is not a gender thing. Being strong is a human trait. Being weak is something. Being emotional, these are just human traits. So we try to take these things and make it gender-wise, and really with a man, we haven't made it safe or cool or comfortable for a man to express himself. So what we do is we raise young girls, we give them a doll, we teach them how to be nurturing. Then we need to teach little boys how to be nurturing. I ain't saying give them a doll, but let them know that, hey man, this is how you hold a baby. Hey man, that's like when I'm with little kids, I'm always teaching the older brother, the older sister, whoever's the older sibling, they're always in protection, love, and taking care mode, right? Because you're looking out. But we're not teaching young boys that. We're just teaching them how to dribble a basketball, shoot a bat, throw a football, and they making it like, if you're not hyper masculine, hypersexual, or aggressive, or a ladies man, and what, where's your value? That's how they make it seem. So we thinking that we gotta appease these standards socially, So once we start setting a different standard and letting them know, hey man, it's okay to not be in high school trying to smash every chick. Hey man, it's okay to just want to be with just one woman. It's okay to I'm 6'4", 225. I don't want to play ball. I play the violin. Or I'm on the debate team, and I'm not lame, and I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? When we start setting a standard like that, we start having more emotionally available fathers to teach emotionally available children. So then we create that, and we see it. It becomes the norm, and it's modeled. But all this, men are different than women. That's why a woman could, with a man being dominated, men lose their life. Over somebody disrespecting them. You don't hear that with women a lot. I ain't saying it ain't happen. But it's that thing about that masculine, like, he ain't about to talk to me like that. He ain't about to do this. I die behind this. Well, you got
man.
You got a wife.
Boy, don't care.
I die behind this. No, shut up. You know what I'm saying? But like we glorify that. Ain't nobody up there saying, somebody told me, man, I hit that in the mouth. Bro, come on, we grown. We don't do that no more.
Yeah, man.
So we have to change the narrative and start modeling things. But the change we want to see must first begin in us. So we have to become that. So
man, and the thing is, like you say, just reading that last comment, that was, she had a good point, right? That we don't teach little boys how to express their emotions, then get mad when they don't do it as men.
Absolutely.
And so I did a lot. We just had a little conference class last weekend, man, where we was talking about domestic violence and pieces like that, mental health. And that was one of the questions of, how do we get our black men to ask for help? And why does that make them seem weak, right? But that also, we talked about just emotional literacy, emotional intelligence, right? Because really a part of that is, I don't want to look weak. A part of going through this cycle and not being able to recognize what you're doing and not seeking help is still, in a way, saying, I don't want to be seen as weak. So, man, I think that's what the crusade has to be. Like you say, changing the culture with the youngsters, but that means getting us older guys who is leading the way for the youngsters to get that help to be able to bring something different, man. So
because once we start doing that, we'll realize how weak you are to be a slave to your emotions and fight and cuss and yell every time you get mad. But to express yourself. So one of my friends is a therapist, Michael Dangerfield. He had a book launch, right? So he had a part where he surprised me. He called me on the stage and some other people, and he was doing some stuff from his therapy book. And he was like, what's something that you regret in your life? And when I tell you, I was choked up. I'm just trying not to cry in front of everybody.
Come on, man.
When I started thinking about what one of my regrets was, but I said, I thought of other instances, and I'm a lot more okay with crying now. I'm a father. I got daughters, and but there was one point where I just didn't want to cry, and because I was taught at an early age, if you cry, that's weak. So we're gonna sit around and squirm, make noises, try to appear to be tough. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, when you start pulling off the layers and learning how to express yourself, man, it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders. You can cry some tears if you got to, but to really effectively, like, say to somebody you're dating or one of your friends, yo, you hurt my feelings. And you ain't gotta say, like with men, we gotta say, all right, no homo. I love you, bro. Nah, bro, I just love you, man. Come on. Just little stuff like that. We have to normalize it. We got to make it cool, because right now we've only made it okay for us men to show emotion and affection on the football field or the sports arena. They crying, they hugging, they getting excited. You know what I'm saying? Or we cry at a funeral, but we haven't normalized that when somebody get accepted into a school, when your homeboy Hey man, I'm committing. I'm about to get married. Oh man, you about to throw it all away. You mean?
But I say you about to give it up, baby.
You about to give it up. It's like, dang.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we got to normalize different thought patterns.
Yes, sir. I can dig it, brother. So, man, as we get ready to wrap this thing up, man, let's check in with you, man. Dude, what all been happening, man? Where you got going? What are the events? What you got coming up? How can we find you?
Well, I mean, y'all can find me on Instagram at Super Carroll, spelled on the screen. Then my website, Bryan Carroll and Associates. So I got online mentoring, virtual mentoring. I got in-person mentoring. Things have been kicking off with Bryan Carroll and Associates, the consulting firm. So, you know, we got the bullying tour coming up. We can come to your school, your daycare, wherever you at. We talk about the 7 styles of bullying. I got my professional developments I'm doing on equity, and then on meeting the kids in the culture where they are. Because ultimately, after COVID, man, everybody's struggling. Teachers are struggling, getting acclimated. The kids had a year off of school, basically. And everybody's really just getting adjusted to a new normal. And let's do a health check. Are you okay up here and in here? Everybody losing people, everybody paranoid. So what I do is I come from a therapeutic viewpoint and a restorative viewpoint, and I give you the tools to thrive in the classroom, stay emotionally healthy, and get the results you want to get from the kids and yourself ultimately. Yeah. You know, so.
Come on, B. Keep working, brother. Keep working, man. Like I say, I appreciate you for taking some time out. Man, just having that conversation, brother, about this. I wanted to get those pieces out because I felt as we wrapped up talking about narcissism, to be able to know what that cycle is, and hopefully the people who hear this now can recognize those pieces in that cycle. And that's what it's about, man, getting that information out so people can change their lives, brother. So I appreciate you being a part of this tonight, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. Woo, we did it again. This is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
KTTV.
KTTV.